Dear students, I'll continue with module 2 further part. Okay. So, in the previous lecture, we have discussed about pure aloha. Now we'll discuss about slotted aloha. So, whatever you have studied pure aloha, it is having a vulnerable time of 2 into TFR. Why it is 2 into TFR is because there is no rule that defines when the station can send. Then a station may send soon after another station has started or just before another station has finished. This slotted aloha was invented in order to improve the efficiency of pure aloha. Then what is the concept in this slotted aloha is, in slotted aloha, the time is divided into slots of TFR seconds and force the station to send only at the beginning of the time slot. Okay, at the beginning of the time slot. So this is a figure that is going to show the frames in a slotted aloha network. You can see frames in a slotted aloha network. There are 4 stations labeled station 1, station 2, station 3, station 4. Then the frames, 2 frames from each station are sent. Then you can see during slot 2 and during slot 3 there is a collision. You can see here during this slot 2 and during this slot 3 there is a collision, whereas in other time duration there is no collision. Okay, as a station is allowed to send only at the beginning of the synchronized time slot, if a station misses this moment, then it must wait until the beginning of the next time slot. So this means that the station we started at the beginning of the time slot has already finished sending its frame. But even in this, of course, there is still the possibility of collision if 2 stations try to send at the beginning of the time slot. But however, in this case, slotted aloha, the vulnerable time is now reduced to 1/2, which is equal to TFR, which shows the situation. So this figure is going to show the vulnerable time for slotted aloha protocol. You can see it is TFR. Okay, so this is a vulnerable time. You can see vulnerable time is TFR, and in this B collides with C. You can see B frame collides with frame of station C. Okay, so slotted aloha vulnerable time is TFR. Next we'll see about throughput. So in this case it can be proven that the average number of successful transmissions for slotted aloha is S equal to G into e raised to minus G. Then the maximum throughput S max is 0.368 when G equal to 1. So we can say, in other words, if one frame is generated during one frame transmission time, then 36.8% of these frames reach their destination successfully. So in order to produce maximum throughput, G equal to 1 is expected because the vulnerable time is equal to frame transmission time. Okay, is it clear? So if a station generates only one frame in this vulnerable time and no other station generates a frame during this time, the frame will reach its destination successfully. So the throughput for slotted aloha is S equal to G into e raised to minus G. So maximum throughput S max is equal to 0.368 when G equal to 1. When G equal to 1. Next we'll see the problem. A slotted aloha network transmits 200 bit frames using a shared channel with a 200 kbps bandwidth. Find the throughput if the system, all stations together, produces 1000 frames per second, 500 frames per second, 250 frames per second. So we'll see the solution. the frame transmission time is 200 by 200 kbps or 1 millisecond. So in this case, G is 1. In the first case, 1000 frames per second, G is 1. So S is equal to G into e raised to minus G, which is 0.0368. So 36.8%. What does this mean is that the throughput is 1000 into 0.0368, which is 368 frames. So we can say only 368 out of 1000 frames will probably survive. Okay. Next, in B case, 500 frames per second, G is 1 by 2. So in this case, S equal to G into e raised to minus G, which is 0.303, that is 30.3%. So throughput is 500 into 0.0303, which is 151. So only 151 frames out of 500 will probably survive. C case next, G is 1 by 4. G is 1 by 4. So in this case, S equal to G into e raised to minus G, which is 19.5%. So throughput is 250 into 0.195, which is 49. So only 49 frames out of 250 will probably survive. Next we'll discuss about carrier sense multiple SS CSMA. Carrier sense multiple SS CSMA. This CSMA was developed, in order to minimize the chance of collision and to increase the performance. CSMA was developed the method. Then, if a station senses the medium before trying to use it, then whatever is a chance of collision can be reduced. So carrier sense multiple SS CSMA, it requires that each station first listen to the medium before sending. Each station first listen to the medium before sending. So the principle in this CSMA is sense before transmit or listen before talk. This CSMA how the possibility of collision can be reduced, but in CSMA we can see, but it cannot eliminate it. The reason will be shown with a figure, where that figure is a space and time model of a CSMA network. The stations are connected to a shared channel, which is usually a dedicated medium. The possibility of collision still exists. Why? Because of propagation delay. When a station sends a frame, it still takes time, although very short, for the first bit to reach every station and for every station to sense it. So we can say, in other words, a station may sense the medium and find it idle only because the first bit sent by another station has not yet been received. Okay. So this is a diagram showing the space-time model of a collision in CSMA. So how many stations are there? We'll see there are 4 stations. Station A, Station B, Station C, Station D. Okay. Then times have been shown, T1, T2. Area where B signal exists has been shown. Area where both signals exist has been shown. Area where C signal exists has been shown. Then you can see B starts at time T1, C starts at time T2. Okay, so at time T1, you can see here, at time T1, B senses the medium, that is B station senses the medium and finds it idle. So it sends a frame. At time T2, here you can see at time T2, where T2 is greater than T1, station C senses a medium and finds it idle because at this time the first bits from station B have not reached station C. Station C also sends a frame. Then the two signals collide and both frames are destroyed. Next we'll discuss about vulnerable time. The vulnerable time for CSMA is a propagation time Tp. Then this propagation time Tp is a time needed for a signal to propagate from one end of the medium to the other. When a station sends a frame, and another station tries to send a frame during this time, a collision will result. So when a collision will result, when a station sends a frame and any other station tries to send a frame during this time, the collision will result. But if the first bit of the frame reaches the end of the medium, every station will already have heard the bit and will refrain from sending. So this figure is going to show, this one more figure which is going to show the worst case. Okay. I think I missed, we'll see it. The leftmost station A sends a frame at time T1, then which reaches the rightmost station at time, rightmost station D at time T1 plus Tp. Then this gray area shows the vulnerable area in time and space. So the gray area is going to show the vulnerable area in time and space. So next we'll discuss about persistence methods. So if the channel is busy, what should a station do? If the channel is idle, what should a station do? Three methods have been devised to answer this question. One persistent, non-persistent and p-persistent method. So the behavior of these three persistent methods when a station finds a channel busy has been shown. So this is a diagram that is going to show the behavior of three persistent methods. Okay, behavior of this figure is flow diagram for this method, nothing but behavior of three persistent method. Now we'll see about one persistent method. You see the diagram clearly. One persistent, non-persistent, p-persistent. This is one persistent, this is non-persistent, this is p-persistent. One persistent. This one persistent method is simple and straightforward. So in this method, after the station finds the line idle, it sends the frame immediately, that too with probability 1. So this method has the highest chance of collision because two or more stations may find the line idle and send their frames immediately. Next, non-persistent. In this non-persistent method, a station that has a frame to send senses the line. If the line is idle, it sends immediately. If the line is not idle, it waits a random amount of time and then senses the line again. The non-persistent approach reduces the chances of collision because it is unlikely that two or more stations will wait the same amount of time and retry to send simultaneously. But whatever is this method, however, reduces the efficiency of the network. Why? Because the medium remains idle when there may be stations with frame to send. Next we'll see about p-persistent. The p-persistent method is used if the channel has time slots with a slot duration equal to or greater than the maximum propagation time. The p-persistent approach combines the advantages of other two strategies. It reduces the chance of collision and improves efficiency. So in this method, after the station finds the line idle, it follows the steps. What are the steps? We'll see. 1. With probability P, the station sends its frame. 2. With probability Q is equal to 1 minus P, the station waits for the beginning of next time slot and checks the line again. Then there are 2 points to be followed in this. If the line is idle, it goes to step 1. B. If the line is busy, it acts as though a collision has occurred and uses the back off procedure. Okay. So this is a flow diagram for all the three persistent method. You can see channel busy, true. Repeat, false, station can transmit. In non-persistent, this is one persistent. In non-persistent, if channel busy, true, wait randomly, check it. False, station can transmit. In p-persistent, channel busy, true, again check it. False, generate a random number r equal to 0 to 1, then check whether it is true or false. If r is less than or equal to p has to be checked. If it is true, station can transmit. If r is greater than p, then wait a slot. Again check channel busy. True, use backoff process as though collision occurred. False, and go back. Okay. So next we'll see about, so in next lecture I'll continue. I'll stop here.